You're listening to Bitilo with Ismaila Ceesay. You're listening to Bitilo with Ismaila Ceesay. You're listening to Bitilo with Ismaila Ceesay.
Assalamu alaikum bari lamay lalu ngali kontong ngali bismillah na bitilo kibaro te jang alnal bari malum falli federa ngali kontong bi arjumola april karotili morning nano la benyin sango men kono kontondro kola dorong sali kalam tandiko bi ngaluntam bunyari mbale soto jang menketa Dr. Ismaila Ceesay mandin ko kumo ko munen ndeda munen tinya mfonya bari kumo fanam fola kumo fodula afo wato nyurbe mu kuleti me alon ko akumayatale sako fangandina ta chokinyolo la anin kacha enin jama tema membe maralin kumo kola anin kalimo kola President Adama Barrow la mansakunda kono wole mu Dr. Ismaila Ceesay me alon ko ko ngafi nyami atele Minister of Information and Broadcasting Services atele mun la luntangoti bitilo kibaro do jam docteur nge konto nge bismillah njikira ko nyina musinya floti mbe sotla bitilo do jam nse bula eni mol se nyo konto kadabake nin konto ndrobo dala dorong nse kadabato jibe ke kunto kibaro lo ko la ngana bula kacha kono bismillah
barka bake falle mbe konto na mbe nimbara la bake fang mbe konto na fanang mbe la moral nin jibelal be konto na game ni ngobe dawda milbe gamma jang bantala bankon kan e ka fa diaspora me be konton na mbal ni mbarala kacadum bi ko ya fo nyame nyina na lum foloti kanala bitilo bari bitilo mu kibabu ndal mi alon ko abedo ko kendola ka kibaro janjang gambe bankon kan kamol kuning kamol inform anamu kuti mi anka kumat anina do ko fanandata barka
thank you baraka bake mbaringolu wole mu Dr. Ismaila Ceesay ko ngafa nyameng atele minister di member maraling kibaro nin chokinyolo kola anin telephone be President Adama Barrow la mansakunda ni bantalon ko lutema atele be ndikela motime alon ko natel be kacala bi be jibe kela kujamal la meni alon ko wole be dending ala balu wala simfalo ay menuta ala balu kono ala dindi yake damento dunia nin hamoya si damento dunia kono tarinke be jibe lokela ala politiko kola din kujamal me yalon ko wolel be kerim banko kan nyin tembenna bari be jibe lo fanankela nyin luwa kutola me yalon ko ala ministre bundala faka wole dunde Gambia fa chocho siata adiamo siata banko ko be kala fenti me yalon ko mba jibe la nyaat do mandi mbari ngol bari kontalta ka kinyamen na bitilo kibaro to kata bake doron se jibe ke kunto kibaro la ngamenu soto jang mbo folo la menna wala mo kibarti kibar kumma ba ngamum ta standard newspaper bulu e ko independent electoral commission memo IECD wala dandalaro ke politique kafo la men felenti ngambe banko kan men yalon ko ka mamam politiko do bari manke political party ti follow e ko be sasila pour political party manya political party nyanta ka kolu menuke etolu kana boke ye fonyo ala ni ba kan e ko ya korosiko politique kafol be gambe banko kan men yalon ko manke patiti bari kama ko political party ole ka congress lu soto be findile bita campagne la dulalto e be kolu kela IEC ko kule melon ko anim banko luwal ni sartol ni silolu manta silol men yalon ko be dening carte fo ko la anim political party manya banko kam e ko be dandala la police fonyo wonyon kusi fala atariata nyamen kadu luwaso ko lemu e ko ba datlele enim police lu ka do ko ke anim banko fanna ko tengolu kaji ko de ye bantambili wo ko nyi nyaado atariata nyamen ko kibarolu yaitandi nyamen na nyindung ay mem fudi wara wala muko politique kafolu men boko Talib Ahmed Bensouda la UMC ana ñom parti kotengolu parti le mealo e kaful le menalon ko ñing AIC la ñin dandalaro wulite to lelu kamba katu ngajele ko e registration o datile bade registration o man kum fa folo e manke political party hamole bela andum i sawoni jiko menti wala muko ke la kafo yela mandika ke political party di bari o man timma folo o dalilo kambala IEC e meto fo bari ko patiolu men bo ko o nyon kafu sifalu e kafol men bo ko nyon kafu sifalu e be dandala la pour e kana ma ko political patiolu e ko katum political patiolu nyanta mala nyamen abebe safere loi konole satolel beje hakol ni nyantolel fanambe kan membo ko ka congress soto ka lankana make kuja mala men be dending ila kodo soto nyala finti nyala dunya e bulu ana finyum fensiva ko tangolu nimboro hani bi ngatu atenyi IEC kilngola koro man filal mako IEC lebe karte kayit diola ñin tembe na banko kan menkere supplementary voter registration exercise ti ka karte odi mo lamen yalon ko e masoto mo kodol men yalon ko e sanji tannin se soto warafan e man karte o soto bari mo lamen yalon ko e sato beti mandele pour ka soto ñin bebe ke kan kata ko lel kono men be ke kan kaje ko de banko parendi karte fayo kambe men nyanta soto la gambe banko kan ñinan wala December karin kono kibaro lu ngame muda IC wolo diye meten ni wolo mu ko e ko ñi lokun kum folo la mentara kanyam fo mo wuli tanani nin killing ye carte kayto sika ka di wolle la ko kibaro le aytani nyamenna nga jibe ke kibar la membe den kacha kibar kayta mem bota standard news be bulu e ko America la mansa kunda wala be Gambia mansa kunda tongo de kan pour ise Cuban medical program ota ya buruka nin Cuban medical program ate mu badi ya julleti men dunda Gambia nin Cuba tema akono Cuba doctorolo ni nosolu kabo Cuba e kana Gambia banko kam ka jara loke aninka doko ke najati kende abundalto America la mansakunda Donald Trump la nyatun kaya koto enin Cuba la mansakunda be nyola nyintembenna Donald Trump laftale pour que tongode kaje ko de ye fanse ke fandung America bulu wo kono iko be bankolu men felentin dunia kono e be safaro ke kan e kan ke detendi pour ese e badia julo kuntinin Cuba tema bari fang Cuba la medical programme fanam pour ka aburka dunia kono tarinke ko Gambia na reke bankulti min alon ko America la mansa kunda e safaro ke kam nga muta standard news bulu e ko en Cuba la ambassadeur membe Gambia diamuta ko to nyande ko kusotorin nemu Gambia la ministre membe marale nimbantalan ko temo la standard na fanan diamuta tani je ko ye kibari sotole kabo karola bari ako Gambia ya mensute nu wala mu ko Cuba la medical programme nafa bale ba kunnatola Gambia banko e jang ko kibaru le tani nyamenna ato kibar kadi klingo nyum fanan kono ya tani je ko nyin temben na menta kanyam fo Cuban doctor Keme Cuban doctor Muanil Lulu wala be Gambia banko kam e be karandro ke ka university to bari be banko karo be fanan na kabrim banjul kata fo base loptano be dawda be fata fatarin je be do ko ke kan ka banko dingolu jara mbani ngolu na kibar labangon na manan dun kacha kono wala mo kibati me alon ko abidin ding APRC la APRC me alon ko fabaka tombo njato ye wala nyatun kaya e ko wolle be banku be yayo la eni la patio dingol be kacha kan ka kacha ke ila sonyo kan wala membe ning NPP te man tembenna fabaka tombo jata ko be banku be yayo men naten ka finti patio dingol kam wuli men kamba wala mu pour ka jibe fo hanibi abeto lutole bang pour NPP ning APRC etenten kaso nyokam nim murtana mbadi ngolu nin Dr. Ismaila Ceesay si na dum wa kacha kono kacha mi alon ko nga wala kerkerale bi na Bitilo to jam Dr. Ismaila Ceesay ko nga fa nyameng atele mu ministre de member maraling kibaro nin chokinyolo kola Gambia banko kam.
You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Federa. You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Federa.
Mbadi ngolu ngali kontong na Bitilo kibaro to koteke ko ngafe nyameng alnal bari malum Fali Federa to membe la mayka radio to Gambia banko kan albe mo kam Vibes FM le 106.1 FM to mem fana ben jibe kan dlalto internet to anin Bitilo la APS international le bulobe na Bitilo kibaro koto ika maman kodi kiyole la karola ka kodo ki kata Gambia banko kan ibe dawda dunia kono isi munafang APS la doctor ko kontanten se wota ngeso to Bitilo to jang ndala filanga kachada si demento you know kaytandi molla ko ndefon e wato men ta ka kafu mabunya warta nde kambake pour tumando mol men yalon ko ma kala muta docteur mun karamolti ay karande no University of The Gambia sanji jama commando so content and see what bake you know nine platform ngadengala bari fanan ye wato men faranta ka kafuma katu ngalno ko kolbe siaring o dalilo kambalan content and see what keso do but doctor laf ka kachada di lafa ngada si demento woleto mu you know ni wulta somanda ye ñu ngi la mobile wala la smartphone e kadum app jumale ko kono ani mune wono
WhatsApp kadu WhatsApp le kono pour kaji be mu message so la dunta ni jumal le fanen kumande son kadu WhatsApp le follow nga WhatsApp le follow jube
so music wala karola Bitilo la ni atele be man se adila mola be kele jumalti esti ni music ko tangol meni an music sen ko tangol ngamen so de gamen
ko lela ninga fo wonno be kam nga kelim fo do be ka fa mbulle ndara ka be la moy bari ngalo mo kelim je mi alon ka dinklo ka denya bake olong jali maditi adela dinklo ka denya bake la ST is good nkala dinklo enjoy all of them juzul nyol aning ndingo nak ate attack le like ngadi muso so do alon ka de 5 years old attack bari ndefam fam fango mi alon kon kala music enjoy because I like traditional music traditional kora music and ngajali madela music enjoy bake surtout aning STM la ka fo na ngo enjoy but I like daliba fanangi so man mi alon ka fanan kala music enjoy bake fam so there is no particular ka fo ko nyina na favorite but anybody mi alon ko Gambian music long and it's traditional anka wo enjoy bake la
okay, Kora ngamira Kora buka motu siring. Thank you very much, Doctor. Doctor, the last question ngamen soro namanandung kolu kono. You know, politician Jamal El Begambe banko kam. Dolbe je ni la kol soro nu nyokam komanto dolbe je eni wolbe do ko la nyintembela. Ning atara. Ye kuma kilin soto ibe imariñol describe la menda be kala monete nga follow esa mbay falla. Comme ni eto moy mu nekk ne la miro do
min kanana miro do olonga amalo min be keri amalo min gambe katama nyame talib ni ngala jada amalo min be keri amalo along subral ko amul lu gej rir ate wala ate wala min be keri ate abe filere na kono dal ate filita la demanding
so amon fonyo bodu alo nenko be wala foka
ani amalo ani
talib Ahmed Bensouda
fonete ade ma silo tandala de ade ma silo tandala
talib Bensouda dum
ate arrogant ale ate arrogant ate juruta Gambia no lale jutu na molo
ko mu ikibe men foka wala mu ko fawara molem
afawara molong so almost if adung kapala sota ka wodi wala do ko la wodi
to ko lende next nga minister jang honorable Halifa Sallah
londo tio ay banko kano bari ate fanang amang gamenol faham num bak in terms of ilamiro aning atela miro fatara dami so there was a big gap between atela mindset aning every Gambian la mindset so ofana yala political didel demanding because among communicate no properly with the average Gambian voter so madela fana
lo Ousainou Darboe
even na keba fa nyokande ate munyalaba ay patience to ate munyalaba adiata koliata de kamunyala yes
finally ila boss His Excellency President Adama Barrow
afamma jita atilinta humbulta olon famma jiyoti annum fanan abukamo barandi annum fana buka kufang ngawolo ngatole o mu kulte mi alon kon ni wati ngo mi alon kon na do ko ke ngawo jatole mi alon ka famma jita ma fa wara andu mu kul taman ser kendo lo woti xana ma di ngoro sutu mo mi alon ko man sa yalla ay bala fa soto taman ser kendo fanam man sa dum sulata wolle ton e bala fa soto ye mol hati kana mol barandi kana mol kana kidi mol kan kana mo barandi kana mo silandi kana sembo jaay mol kan ye famma ji fanan e bala fa soto andum fanan e boka kumuta mo fe ni mu kula mi alon ko ni nga soto mansa to wonga mansa kendo sotole.
Thank you very much. Mbadingolu wolemu Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, Minister Mebe Maraling Kibaru nin chokinyolo kola. Atele ka diamu Gambe Mansakunda fanang toyala atele munda luntangoti jang Bitilo Kibaru rejam. Dr. Laftale doron nga sabako madomandi namanambula kacha afango kono. Nga jibe ke ila kulu nyala. Yela dindi yake demento nka Kibaru luje nka Sierra Leone moy nka Brikama moy isa fo moli yela dindi yabe no nyaadile ani mun kulle be staff men la ko ye parendi ñu ñong place fani politiko kambale be men kono Bitilo la Gambe banko kan
wuluta Brikama la nga nursery school ka Brikama kindergarten kabafita ndara Brikama primary school for primary 6 nga command and transit or mo command and transit be caring over 400 mako nying that was a pass mark min ke sambanung high school ni mau pass mark ko soto ikata secondary school technical secondary school ka donu form 4 le wala ni ya fail ya repeat wala school bula ala na ta kemam pass mark ko soto because nga St. Augustine's le choose no as my preferred school but St. Augustine's no yelo mo la pass mark was 238 ne 238 soto and above ikadunne and I got 236 so I was 2 marks below 238 wona ta ke e konyo ko nga repeat because malaf kata nun Brikama secondary school bombada entara num bari fana malaf kata jo tuma bombada just start as a high school so nga repeating ke ndata 1-2 months nkonte I don't want to repeat so nga school bula wala fe mesirin so kon oto mona mero tamatala no pabi fana mankende anu so it was a bit difficult so mesirin konyo do mantara fenna mero bada tamadula nata ade ko ana situation jo ko mantara ta kan school na falong bibita kan no school St. Augustine's then I'm mutan samba Freetown wala nya mo British Caledonian katano Freetown on Friday at 3 o'clock then fa pleno lo kona na bago then samba Freetown but in farada Freetown dung I was supposed to go to boarding school but that time it was the middle of the semester so my school start immediately so in samba I lived with my uncle at Hill Station but na uncle it was a koditiolo nung moto tanding sabale babalo nung but when I was there nga house boy do ko lekeje basically delaka motol ku delaka jaji wala hilo santo delaka otmo geo was a problem so you have to go up the hill kata jobi bari gol kanani puson delaka bolol ku delaka pasiro ke delaka generator mala somandan delaka fa suto so I was doing basically all the household work at the place then school yelata mama in samba boarding school the boarding school was difficult. My boarding school from 4 then that I live at the Gambian embassy. One friend Lamin Kanadi was staying there. That was an extra room. I went to stay with him. Then bring a form 5 bang. I was supposed to go to Frobe College, but Rebelo not a free down that year in 95. Then I went back to Gambia. Then 96 Natanga Sweden. I was where I was going to Sweden, I went to hustle like anybody else. I was living in Sweden. Ngakato nyening integrator medoku wala je up to some time ko you know what I want my future to be in Gambia after ka say Gambia I want to go and work in government to be part of the decision makers so we transform Gambia like in Sweden because I was so fascinated with Swedish development when I read Swedish development history la planning and everything then but the tool I need to go back to Gambia to participate effectively is knowledge. Then I have to go to school then I applied to go to Stockholm's University in reject because Sierra Leone certificate were not eligible to be admitted to Stockholm's University. I have to go to Convox or Folkirk School on the adult education system which is 3 years but something was always pushing me to do it so finally I went to that. I did 3 years there. Then bring Abang, I went applied against at the university and tanga political science karang. From Ngabang in 2007, still wasn't enough. If I want to make a difference, I have to go further. Then I said I have to have a master's. So I master's apply at Keele University, somewhere between Manchester and Birmingham, to do masters in international relations. Then Yenta on conditional offer. I was waiting to start in September. That's summer I was working because I was working with security in Sweden. So Njita Dokola, I was going by Nascentrum. Sweden, every area has a centrum, like a center, a community center. That's where the shops are and the library. So I went to the library. I like reading. I always read. So I went in to get a book to read for the weekend. Then I saw one book called Africa. Then nga bondina Martin Meredith, The State of Africa. So when I read the book, it was fascinating. It's about African post-colonial history, starting with the Gold Coast experiment, for the what happened in Egypt, what happened to Farouk, and all that history. And I got fascinated. This is what I want. My future is in African politics. So I went and Googled and realized that only 2 universities that are good in England that does African studies at a multidisciplinary level, and that's Edinburgh University and SOAS, School of Oriental and African Studies. But because I lived in London in the 90s, I didn't like it. So Edinburgh is the choice. So I applied immediately, and they got back to me, okay, we offer you conditionally, on condition that it exists in a current university of Stockholm, should write Kafoko, you did some courses in English, because my degree was in Swedish. So now provide, then they gave me unconditional offer. Then I canceled the Kiel that September and that Scotland. It was difficult at the beginning because all the savings because I didn't have a scholarship. All the savings whilst I was working in Sweden, fees, it wasn't even enough. I just paid part of the fees, and I rented a small room as a living rent. So I was there. Then I was also working as an interpreter in Wolof for the NHS, for the police, and for the social services, and for the courts as well. So the money I make from there is what I was now completing my fees. Sometimes university come from Blockle, from the system, because later with the payment planning, later again block. But then then they open. That's what I did until I got my master's in 2009. So bring a master's, now I want to go to Gambia now. It's gonna be difficult, but I have to go, because if at some point in your life, if you want to elevate, you have to first go down first, then you elevate. I could have stayed in Sweden. I was having a very, very, very good job. One of the jobs me along go, very few black people like that security. I had a car, I had my apartment, but that's not for me. That's not life. Then bring Parakana Gambia, Jame was in power. So Ninsiata Gambia, where will I go and work? I don't want to work with the government. Okay, let me go to the university. Then there I can be able to still develop myself, because we are the university setting, you develop yourself, but also develop the young people and prepare them for the future as well. So I applied for a job at the university. Then Prof. Ka was the VC. Dr. Sengor was the head of the arts and sciences. Yenta as a political science lecturer. When I came, then you were there. I remember my first batch of students, the Sid Matis, the Nyamasata Kamaras, the Mustafa Kas, they were all my first batch of students. Then later on, Itel Nata, Altol Nata, and the others. And I had a good time at the university. So I came in 2009, I started teaching at university, 10, 11. I'm like, it's not enough. I want to still do more. I want to get my PhD. Then I applied at Stockholm University for a PhD. I got accepted. Then I went back in 2011. And I did my PhD. My first PhD was in Science and Technology Studies. I did 1 year. I came for field work. I was having it difficult to get data. I went back. I changed back to my previous role, which is African Studies / African Politics. And I did my PhD. But whilst I was doing my PhD, I was still teaching at UTG, coming back and forth, coming in and out, until I finished my PhD in 2016. Then I came home finally back home. And then the rest is history, as you know. Mbuke moy. Falle mbuke moy. Not hearing you. Mbuke moy. Okay, thank you now.
Yeah, I can even make an assignment.
Thank you, Mola.
Hello?
Thank you, Mola. Yes.
Ibe mo kan say?
Mola, yes.
Ha. Nga fole ko alsi hekatu wala mbe ko le ala soto kan nung internet wala na mic wala karola nung akam da ko mantra kam moy on the other side. Thank you very much ngamro senata baki fang. But there is something for which I want to pick up on. Yasa teleko bring is itamata kutake itaro in Europe I think you mentioned something like yes, people do I know, this was University. I just wanted to ask you, come ya fanya me Gambia bulay tara Sierra Leone, from Sierra Leone tara Europe. Ngalen me come funding ke yebo Africa yeta Europe ibe fam bulije. It's not easy. What were some of the struggles that you had to deal with? Ye bata nin kole akul men taki fajan ni belole sintan ni fulola. Kamuru karang kang watermen even in Europe.
It was tough because Berin dog for Sweden at that time in the late 90s. Niman kato soro ite live in Sweden. Ite doko kenora because they have a Swedish language. They had a very, very rigorous, very organized welfare system. Me along ko niman kato soro they do not system mo kono. The system mo me ko ite doko kenola. It is an old school. Ite fen kenola. So the first challenge was kato soro. And there are two ways in which kato soro no, or three ways. One is ye adopt ye fenang, or ye muso tuba muso nyine futu ye kaito dila. So at that time all we were doing is ka make soko nga kaito soto. Then we did that nga kaito soto, bring nga kaito soto. Then I decided to go to England for 1 year. It was in 97. Now England was tough because England do call benunje. Then I did all sorts of jobs in England. I jobbed at the warehouse. Corey's warehouse, Mealonko, it's at night, picking and packing, okay, England, just to make sure we survive and send money back home. We also worked at Bonaparte, and Karisale Park Nunje, Karisale Dada Nunje, we did that job. I worked as a kitchen porter in restaurants, Ika Bolo Kule for Samanda. Ika kuya, Gamere Paretale, Nintrol Balen and Kotenka Kule for Samanda. I also did cleaning job. Bolong so do be tule ngat clean job flaleke. The key job chabo katare bulle offices. Ikawuli somanda 4 o'clock yeta office lele cleaning ke. Ni bota je yeta another place for cleaning ke. And these malls at that time Halikuinoto. That was a big shop there. John Lewis. Ntoleka je clean no. So we did all that job. So ngo do 1 year bring ake 1 year in England. It wasn't easy. I went back to Sweden again. So when I went back to Sweden. Then come to school. Then I went to school, have some papers. Then I applied for a security job. At that time, Falkland. So until I could pick airport. Then could pick airport. We take it to the depot in central Stockholm. After because at that time robbery as I left that job, then I went for alarm. It took a alarm. All mundi ning alarm motat until I cross with the car. It was tough though, like every other migrant life, but we did all that jobs. You need to survive, send money back home. But at some point, I debated with myself. Ning funding kaya banko balera tuwado. Kufula le si samba noje. Si kufula le nyini noje mi along kasi na fela banko kan. Wale londo nyini, wale na fulo nyini. If you have a drunk, ati na fala dawanto amana ela banko kan, ela banko na fala. Sa ntenga calculate, nko nintenga na fulo nyini nga samba Gambia. All you can do is to invest in business. O business on profit on ata, abeni la dimbalo na fala. Bari business of an amalo, because I'm going to friends or business of Masagamba, business of a boy Cameroon to Abu Kotank. Nkomorning a London Mukudi Malongo, Mobocataniable. It up for Londo Tinale. Hanika fight Piana Mobocataniable. Well, I decided to take my money to Sweden instead of now coming to do business in Gambia and then invest in education. Because continental scholarships on a life. Now, masters, yes, it was free in Sweden, but the opportunity cost of going to school was it means you lost money from working. In the hours you are supposed to work to make money, you are going to university. So it means I wasn't making money, even though university was free. But not bachelor's was free. But not masters and the money I saved is what I paid to do my masters and not PG for all 4 years of my PG until I never had a scholarship. So as from me working part-time and paying. Well, I always a finance department at the university, nibe nyo sabala. Legi payment plan dinna nga default because sometimes you expect money to come kurobukana. So that's how I struggled until I got my PhD. But it was tough, like anybody else funding kejama like I feel in Europe, obviously. Ngala bosol kanole, ngala silol kane, we did all sorts of things. But we were young. When I was going to Sweden, I was 18 years old, going to 19 years old. So with no experience, and you want to work and send back home, ibe jikiri tel la tolong dinke folodi. Ni ma kinin karo fara, they will not eat. So you have to do everything possible. You make sure you work hard no matter what. For boli kolombang for hani karton fanga dunile. Otomo Royal Post in the UK ngadu ke jel di moto troko lotan to leka leberesi aken ka kotongol jindi ka kartongol selene ngawo bekele. But later I realized, okay, for how long will I do this?
Yeah.
The other time, they were in their 50s, in 60s in Sweden. Some of them had masters. Hanisa ebe boss driver yala. Hanisa warehouse dokola. I don't want to end up like this. I want to go back home. I want to live in dignity in my country and contribute meaningfully to my country. And I was following a lot of Swedish politics at that time. And I saw the people who made decisions in Swedish politics, the ministers, the debates that were. I want to go back. I want to be part of the people who make these debates, who lead the debate in my country. I want to be part of the politicians who shape. I want to be part of the history. Then I decided to go to school, and I prepared myself. This work that I'm in, I don't find it difficult. In fact, it's the easiest job I'm doing. In fact, I don't even see it as a job. I see it as a hobby. Every day I look forward to the next day. I feel sad because I love the job, because I'm enjoying it, because I'm doing something which I believe is moving the country forward. Now, there are challenges, of course. Some will ridicule you, some will criticize you, some will insult, but it comes with the job. It's part of it. Once you start to do a particular type of job, there are what they call occupational hazard of that job. Every occupation has a hazard. If you decide to be a farmer in the farms, there's a hazard to that. Exactly. So niman la fi moli neng ye kajafi, they criticize you, they question your integrity. Then leave this job. Go and be a farmer. Or any moment affairs. Mote nyininkala, mote dankula, because you are not having public office. But once you decide you want to have public office, you want to work for the public the time with the Now, sometimes you can react in a manner in which it's not desirable, but we are all human beings. Sometimes they question your integrity, they question your action, they question your policy. Sometimes you react, but we are all human. But you go back and say, you know what? I'm doing this for the people. The car that is driving me, the security guarding me, the office is the people's money. You are working for the people. So they should question you. So I've always been ready for this job. The books I've read, the radio programs I've listened to, the TV programs I've listened to all my life has to do with politics and public office and how to deal with it. So I don't know whether it's by nature or by destiny, but always that's what I've been. I find it not very difficult, and that's it.
Doc, I know we are gonna move on, but I just wanna because mo jamal leka Bitilo la mo meni alon ko ibe bantala banko lukang tumando bato, given that ite yen sim falta la balu kono, maybe ding yamaro bote la karola wara ya balu nyamen niyo yitani mola modo se karano jele. How la fake nyininga menna, you know, mune keta mune sita ye muneje ininjuma la kachata me ye nyori kaje ko yaje ko jande purna sinin sama kambala fonse karamuda. You know, was there a particular moment that sparked that drive in you? What if any mole kacha soto bang?
I woke up in the morning and it hit me. And that's the funny thing. That's what I find funny. I never ever thought Form 5 was enough. That's what I was telling. Because if you look at that time in Sweden, nobody around me was going to school. Not the elders, not my age group. Nobody was going to university. In fact, when I was going to the university, we were only 2 Gambians, including one lady called Uminjai, but at least she was born in Sweden. So nobody in my circle was going to university. Nobody. And nobody was even, so it wasn't there. The motivation wasn't there. The role model wasn't there. And for me, at that time, all we were doing at that time, when Sweden was starting, ngakodo dajale ning sango banda ngana semester la Gambia. Otumo semester ka dianum bake. Ninata. Otumo semester patika standum Brussels, le mbeka benum Brussels because mbeka flight out Brussels. So America malangol ngabenjele, Jaman malangol, Angale malangol, andola Scandinavia. Ban kanyo sud ni fara ban kanyo sudela. Because jaman malo ngo multi dia kalau ne ko nyimalo ngo pada jaman ni la.
Eka jaman malo lo nyadi. Eko lo nyadi.
Kanyo sudah. Ika cewan le ibe rofring ibe funkularing. Itu ka funkulale. Angale malo ngo ka stran le, woni stran le kana. So ntol le ka hamga, ntol Swedish malo ngo nyowe ni. Ntol le ka fresh ntol le ka pare non ko do ka ntol la poso kono. Ntol le ka sera di mal. So make a new sutele. So ngana semester la Gambia 1 month, 2 months semester banga se kote ngada dele kote ngana. One day with someone died hit me konte this life. For how long will I do this? Then it hit me. I have to go to school. Then you know what? Nah, I'm not interested. But something was always pushing me. For some reason, I don't know what that was. So it's not like mole and diamontan, no. Then I decided to go. I don't know what motivated me, because yes. That time talk around club le. We are going to club. Nkatara club le for 5-6 somanda. Nimbol seta. And I go home. I sleep 1 hour ngata university. And in fact, in my circle, nobody knew I was going to university at that time. While I bring sita ngata master sort and people somewhere even questioning me. Oh no, it's fake. People because they didn't know I was going to university. Nobody knew because I thought that was personal. So yeah, that was it. But coming for long ko nibe funding kala to babodo. At a young age, ila life plan. For now, follow because every day, you have to come back home and contribute to your society. Then no Saturday me along ko isi bunya sort jang, isi cool kada me along kasi bangko nafa. To abdo man easy nak. Until we all went through very, very, very difficult times in Europe. But ni if I'm plan, okay, this is what I want to do. You work towards it, like I did. Ngalong konte, you know what? And every day I want to go back home to Gambia. I want to contribute to the development of my country, but the tool I need to do that is Londo. And I went for it. I invested a lot. Every money I've made, I did not do anything with it. I made sure I pay towards my education. Because I'm not a distinction student. So I'm a scholarship sort. I'm a B student, and B students in Ontobuka scholarship sort. So when I apply for scholarship, but then I'm a hardworking student. I know that I have to work hard to achieve things in life, but hard work pays at the end of the day, because if you want to achieve something, you have to work hard. And if you work hard, you cannot achieve anything. And I think tell us stories about hard work. Okay, I want to reach at a particular level in my life. And to achieve it, I have to work, I have to do sacrifices, one. Because what is that sacrifice? When I settled in Sweden, I had a Swedish passport, I had a very beautiful apartment. I had a very nice car. And those in Sweden that are listening, they know what I'm saying. I have a very nice car, a very nice apartment. I was very popular in Sweden, very, very popular in Sweden. I was president of this Swedish Gambia Association in Sweden. I was organizing all the football games. I was organizing African tournaments. I was one of the leaders in that society. But now leaving all that to go and live in a very small room in Scotland. Sometimes aka hitting fale because I could see it. You understand? And sometimes I was struggling to buy a bus pass to go to university. In Katamale 45 minutes because I couldn't afford a bus pass because I was saving money towards the fees. I wouldn't eat the whole day because every day I go to university. We have an office. We have this master's offices. Me along to study. I go and eat I don't eat. When I come home, I try to eat oats. So all these are sacrifices. Man, have this. So sometimes you have to leave something to come down a bit, and then you can elevate. So the more sacrifice to leave that comfort in Sweden. Today I would still be in comfort in Sweden, but not the level I am today. Being a state minister is a big feat. It's not a small feat. Not many Gambians in their lifetime can have that opportunity to be a state minister. So, but I had to sacrifice something to reach this stage. And that sacrifice was, I left that comfort. It was good comfort. You get salary every month, you make money, you send money back home. You come for semester, but for how long will I do that? I had to live that life, to go back to zero and start from fresh, to make sure that I now elevate myself by educating myself. And I think that's something I never regret.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. Niaja lafta nung, ngalo watu nung demanding, kome yafa nyameng, waru dolbeje, akasonia molu bulle, ye nyine fangola ni nata tubabudu ya dadi ka kudo ko ke ka kudo suro dorong it ka falo ko sila o kaya dangu jannati. But thank you very much indeed mbadi ngolu Dr. Ismaila Ceesay atele minister member maraling kibaro ni chokinyo kola gambe banko kam atol member moy ka radio to gambe banko kalbe moy kam Vibes FM le 106.1 FM. Doctor laftale nga jibe ke bri yewo karon ke yabang ko ya ni nyamenna inata Gambia banko kan bari inata Gambia wato menna mu watleti me alon ko mo jamal buka hani kana Gambia banko kan sako mol men alon ko be diaspora wato jambe be jang ngaje murtanan Gambia ya dati ka karandro ke University of The Gambia munatina yow decision otanan kana with everything me alon ko be ke kan anu munatna fanan imanta do ko ke ladoro bari ya dati university la
ha bari nga karango bang bari nga na masters bang 209 on concern kase Gambia la I look for what am I going to do in Gambia. And Jammeh was in power. I didn't want to be close to government, per se. Okay, the best place for me is to go to the university. That's where the young people are, to groom them, to shape their mind, to share my knowledge with them. No more fun and regret. I don't know why I made that decision. Something just came to me to apply to the university. I wasn't following at the university that much. So I just wrote casual. I just wrote a letter, attached my CV, and sent it to Gambia. Then they wrote back to say there's a place available for me at the Department of Political Science. Then told most about it. I came to find 2 people there, Fred Ozo and then Dr. Sajatal. So I came to join them. I remember my first day in class. The Mandembe Mbabayala. My 4 days after enter class. Then Siedmati was in that class. About 80-something students in that class. When I saw the crowd, because I panicked. But then I kept my cool, I composed myself, and I started talking, and then things started to flow. I realized that I was a good lecturer after that class because of the feedback I got from people like Sid. They emailed me that it was a good class. And then, that's how I came to the university. It was tough for Jammeh. Jammeh was in power. The political science department was monitored very closely. I was teaching a course called Contemporary Gambian Politics, where it was dangerous to teach that class at that time. In fact, some students dropped from my class, I remember, because of the resources I was sharing with the class. Some of these resources were considered to be seditious resources material at that time. In fact, there was a period when some NIAs were joining that class. I remember one class, after the class, another Konyoko, I'm from the NIA, but I enjoyed the class. But then again, nothing happened. At some point, I thought I was going to be arrested because of the things we discussed. I was organizing seminars, at UTG, denouncing Jammeh's regime. In those seminars, I was warned by university authorities, go take your time, but I don't know, I was young, I didn't have family. I mean, I was risking everything for that. But but then I enjoyed my time at the university. And then I was teaching a lot of courses, interacting with a lot of students. Because there is no institution in the Gambia, either public or private. There is not someone teach because of the classes I was teaching, and over the time, both at the master's and bachelor's level, at least every semester, 700 to 800 students teach. But the decision to come to the university is something Mealong was conscious. I don't want to work with government. I want to come to a place where I can work with young people. And I met some amazing young people. And today I'm proud of some of them. Mealong, they're out there doing very well, and you are one of them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Abarakabake, comment Dr. Afenyameng Karamolen, University of The Gambia. For Sanji Jama. Doctor, ngaje even university, itaraje karanduro ke for Sanji Jama 2016 birim mansa kunda falinda ngaje ko yada dike dadum kadiamu bankola kola ninkumu ka crossro ke kol tanyala waro dolbeje ise mansa kunda doya ila kolu sambanya alanya banko nyaton ko ananyum fensi fa ko wala fa ke nyininga menna mune natino because dol fanan ka foko ila dungona university ninkumu ebe janne haynan kan wala mo politiko de sinin sama so if you can tell us mune ye wakilindi fo yada dika ke dama mansakundala komen ka mansakunda criticize anila cool ila programu la ni cool sambanya if you can tell us that.
We have to look at the history. Berintoro University, nka political analyze. And as a political scientist, our job is to do analysis of the political situation impartially and objectively. When we're at the university, we are doing it inside the university because there was no platform at that time. Because there was only GRTS, that was the only media house operating basically at that time. And they will not give you the platform because it was even dangerous to come out to to talk about how the government was running. The only platform we had was at the university, in the class, but also the seminars we did inside the university. Briman Sakunda fell in 2016. In 2017, early 2017, I was one of the very few more Mialongo they recognized as having the authority to speak on political issues, to do political analysis. So a lot of journalists were getting in touch. Then the space letter journalists all started kana, media house started to flourish. People started to talk about issues. Then I was recognized at the university, and I was being invited to platforms to talk about how I see things. But sometimes how you see things is based on information you have and what you see. And I was doing those analyses based on that. I never at that time in my thinking the analysis wasn't based on the fact we are planning to go to the presidency. Even though yes, we have to be honest, since I was in Sweden, I had always had the ambition to be part of government at some point, whatever role we're going to play there, because I believe that what I see in Europe is something I would like to replicate in Gambia. Now, who leads is not important for me. The most important thing is you are part of a team that can shape the destiny of your country. Now, who leads alalakao keje? Dolbije ya jinele fo ifate masoto. Dolbije nene ma nyini yasoto. So that is for a lot of, but the most important thing, as long as you're part of the team that can shape the destiny of your country, all that alone is a pride. But when I was doing those analyses, it wasn't based on the fact I was trying to find my way up. No, I was doing the analysis at that time based on what I understood how the system was working, and that was the analysis I was doing. And to the best of my knowledge at that time, those were just analysis. They asked me questions. I say what I think. I speak my mind. So that's it.
Doctor, ye university karonke sanji jamba ni manyina sutiara sanji tanna bi ni sida ko yafa nyamen ye karandi jamalel beje men yalon koy tambite ni bulola dol beje bi ini wol mantara ko killing ini wol la ko jenya fatata bake so nim bi yela karandi kotoli je ibe challenge la ibe doctor criticize la media de ko fala ni manyina fo I think Gala Youth Movement, one of the founders, is a former student. And then some of the most vocal analysis Gambia Banko kan Jamal Beje ila karandi wolel mul. Nimbi sida yewaje iko karanyadi da.
About always normal, ntengi karandi wola to be have a critical mind. Ite bu karan la fa kananda ka ke worship. For Plato le mang Aristotle karandi. After man na agree, after nata kara biggest critic. So it's normal as long as ke clue kono anim bunya kono wala kumada. Ma for moy ko because ngi karande len te ngi karande I gave you the resources but me karande ka fo ko nyanta worship me karande ka fo ko nyanta ngam fo nyanta wala fo no so I'm proud ni en critique which means na karang successful tale because nyata na karang successful no bi ten critique no la it means karante le fo ya long fo fa na jero ke fo kan critique kan against I like that is good. But ninga ka kulo kono drong, no issues with that. Memo issue dron ne ake ni horomanta ya samba wala ka pol mani demanding bawo asidoya nyanya ni moy karani hani tilikilin no inyanda ya mari bunya isa mari criticize no isa challenge no on ideas ning bari ni ko be horomanta ya fela nanje foi ka bulala e ka neng momi karande o mala alfalati ito mari donola hani mone ke do mari donola. So I'm proud of all of them. Some of them, and it's a lot of them, don't go to the media. I can't call Dumale. We disagree. Don't I can't call. When this is something, I can't call Dumale. Ni challenge one of them you sabola. Could they challenge me? I challenge them and I try to explain. Don't they go to the media and they challenge. It's quite normal. I mean, near more karandi image challenge. Ila what you tell a karon ye karani manaman nafaso. It means you have not succeeded because karon nafa is to help you to have a critical mind, to have a different perspective, to expose to different worldviews. the new succeed it means that now they can challenge you. So and I'm proud of all of them. But ninga ke bunya kono ngormanta ban jobe bete ala bakira.
Doctor, still on ila activism at UTG, I want us to move to Citizen Alliance in a bit, but come here for Nyameng at the time, even nung tembo mento and even nung palaso ni lodu lamento, mol kane kan ike nyenin ke ela mirola, ela yekul je Nyameng bankoto bankola kodo. So bari ngaje biri keda ministry fanang. Mo kotongol men fanang belori mo bundato banko kang. Jama ngaje ni katu say na nyola, ika dolu fango doya, kafo dolmen boko, for example, the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. So malem fo itela jeroro ibe load lamento nung, ka kela miro itandi banko tanyala ila crossiro futata damenudo fo woning mol men bakam bi fo la kol farata la male la jabiru be kela munati woto
an yalo ntabuka modoya itolle ka modoya am fanang we have to give back politiko be wala nya bao ito ka wule ke doya for no reason ita fanang you respond in kind because ito ka
but do safu fanang ko coming emu state minister, for example yalo hani diamo de blado fongo ya folo ko nyindo ko ni wonatale so dol beje e ka même fo ngala ne ka tumando bar fongo e ka jamal moy dol safu fanko Dr. Ceesay a fa warade dol safu fanko Dr. Ceesay buke la moy so I don't know mala yo jenya dio
yalo tek lata ko clean nte mole me mirant ani me fonto nde buka wori wala bake e me miranto ani me fonto ndama wori wala surtout mu yalo ka melo mo jamal ko commenter mo ina man defam e ketole mo de keje rek den de judge wo is fine ndama wori wala nte wota melon tela own actions and I take full responsibility nte ngal ndemo mo sifal mo fan le karta yalo ko mo sifal but sometimes we can come across as that because ndom funding kelade so near fine kang ba file kanne sometimes no hard feeling ni bentanga nyo kontong but that is politics no but political sotola so it's good but as long as konga fo nyamen kananyo neng kananyo horomanta ya konte bu kanene ena na fo nyanga mo neng la you cannot bring me konga mo neng le handinga ke fang maybe mistake along but I can apologize for that because nobody is perfect but it is not my intention to insult anybody muka mo neng I can challenge you on the issues me along will raise. We can go after each other, but sometimes they go hard on you because being a state minister doesn't mean Fananko, you cannot also hit back sometimes. It's normal, it's part of politics. It's part of politics all over the world. Ta America, ta UK, you are in America today. But it's normal. At the end of the day, we're all heading towards one thing. We all want a developed Gambia. How we want to the drought memintala and can disagree all the time. And we can hit at each other, but they were all Gambians. So but what people say or think about me sometimes, can't worry back. And I know who I am. I know my humble beginnings. I know the kind of person I am. I know what I'm capable of, what I'm not capable of. So you judge me. What can I do about that? I have no control over that. What I have control over is the formal action. So, and normally I take full responsibility. I listen to people. I don't like people who praise me. That's why I don't listen to praises. I listen to people who criticize me because it makes me develop. It makes me know exactly who I am because there are genuine people who are genuine. There are those who are criticizing with malicious intent. But there are those that are genuine. And when they tell me Dr. Ceesay is arrogant or Dr. Ceesay I look at myself again. Really, am I arrogant? What did I do to give that perception? Maybe I need to change that because I'm not arrogant. I know that. I'm not looking forward. I know that. And people who know me know that. People are very close to me. But maybe I have done something given that perception. So, what have I done to give that perception? Maybe I need to change that. And as a human, we constantly undergo that process of review and self-exploration and development. And only those who criticize you, who tell you your weakness, are the ones who can help you do that. Now, if everybody is praising you, you will never know your weakness. Therefore, you can never develop yourself. If you are perfect, then that's why you stop. But when people always constantly criticize you, you have to self-reflect and say, if people think I'm arrogant, is it genuine or is it based on malicious intent? But don't be it's not malicious intent. In your subconscious, for your which might come across as arrogant. Atara imang arrogant. But we all do that. This guy is arrogant. Atara ma arrogant. Ko ina naman na interact at the personal level. Nina interact, and people come to me when I interact. Hey, for your arrogant. But when I met you, you are down to. Some people come to admit that, but that is life. But the most important thing, as human beings, we are never perfect. For them, never follow. The day will someone die, you are perfect. It even follow. So we constantly undergo self-reflection, self-auditing, to better ourselves. But that is difficult, particularly if you're in the public space.
Doctor, ngaje ibe university, ibe karandirola, ibe, lod lata kam banko politiko to jeni ngaje, ini moko dengol kafta nyoma, ali politik party lo kafme ko Citizens Alliance, memu CAD. Isa fo mole CA be mun tembela do bi.
CA is still there. I'm still the party leader for CA. Konga fo nyameng ndere CA jamfala ni mole CA sos mom yalon ko ni sani bijere be CA la. We are still doing a grassroots campaign, even though we are in an alliance now. And when you are part of an alliance, you have to know you are part of an alliance now, and that alliance is in government. And we are in government as CA because we are given a sector, which is the information sector, as CA. Now, we do a lot of grassroots work. We had our Congress last year, and I was re-elected as party leader. We're still doing our engagements. We had a rally in North Bank a couple of months ago. We're having another rally in Mariamakunda in the next couple of weeks. So CA is just a party. It's still existing as a party, even though we know we are part of an alliance. Therefore, we need to operate as a party within that framework. But what I can tell you is that CA is still operating, and I'm still the party leader of CA. So nothing is wrong with CA. It's functioning as it is supposed to function. The executive are there. We have duly registered party, and that's it.
Okay. So, biri CA lo, ngamira kweta mobi mako, iha mosto do nunca presidenti. In fact, yakatela nu fon ke dabla nyin carte feta milan kono men sota presenza carte feta mila bari kolu manna tako yeyi la manyame la fake nyin nga menna hanibi fo president ya hamo beto la ba andu na beto ya jigi ko ese mun simfala tano. Do you see yourself going through NPP or CA still?
Right now 2026 we are supporting President Barrow. Until presidential ambition go put aside the follow. For now, that is not important for now. That is not supposed to be the issue for now. Once I decide, I want to support the president's agenda. There's a president in place, and we are going to support the president. You cannot have a presidential ambition, and then we have to put that on ice and support the president's agenda because he's the president. And until a miro kama, some can disagree with me. Our vision aligns with how I want to see Gambia. Abitaka Nyameng in terms of our development agenda. Our priorities, they all align with CA's priorities in terms of focusing in infrastructure and then making sure that we do infrastructural transformation because everything else falls into place once the infrastructure is there. And I like that. I like the way he's running the country. I like his vision. I like his personality. So therefore, the main focus now is to get him re-elected for 2026 because I believe that is what is good for Gambia. In terms of bringing stability, in terms of certainty, in terms of policy continuation. That's what I believe in. So everything else for me is not important for now. What is important for what is my priority is to support the president's agenda, making sure he wins the 2026 elections, and then I'll have agenda for the country I fulfill. That is my priority. Everything else for me is not important for now, and it's not on the table for now.
Ning misal fe ning carte fayo botala ngaje ko tumando bato President Barrow ganyeta maybe bari kate fay koten akumata ko laftam fanyala saying. Do you see yourself staying within NPP ka fuko ebe President Barrow keta la jebang for hanibi ebe ninga tara wo misalo keta fenti mellota ebe murla si yela bang yena yelo faye bang how I'm trying to see.
No, what I can tell you is that look, even 1 month is a long time in politics. Anything can happen before 2026, even before 2031. In 2019, 2020, who would ever thought I would join President Barrow to work with him? Very few people think that. So right now, I take one day at a time. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it's possible. I might even, after election, come going back to university and teach and quit politics altogether. So depending on the circumstances, and I've learned during this period, now it's not wise to make long-term plans. For now, what is important is that I'm not thinking ahead. I'm not thinking beyond 2026. What I'm thinking now is that the next 7 to 8 months, I do everything possible to get President Barrow elected. That is my agenda. So I'm not thinking about 2031. When we reach that bridge, we'll cross it. I don't know whether I'll be here up to that time. I don't know whether I still have the passion to be in politics. I can go back to university. Like I said, I'm a university lecturer. And that is my passion. So like I said, I don't know what's going to happen then. But for now, my focus, my agenda, my priority is to get President Barrow elected because I believe will be better for Gambia. When it comes to Gambia, my personal ambition takes secondary stage. What I see right now is that for the interest of the Gambia, maybe that Gambia, and that I can swear anywhere, will better Gambia interest for everything, stability, continuity, confidence, you name it. Is for President Barrow to be re-elected in 2026, and that I will do everything possible for that to happen because they feel well better for Gambia.
No, we are going to come back to in President Adama Barrow temo, but lafake nyininga mena 2021 ngaje yeda dum kate fayo kono ko ngaita ni nyamen e hamo monumenti abe manna timma data fo nsutiata carte fayo la IEC nata CA disqualified for whatever reason. Lafake nyininga mena wotembo yo dimina balunya dile. How difficult was it for you ko nyong diminata yela kado dango beke nga kuma jamalu ngoy dol fon ko fang ila banku di ya Sweden yo telefon ya say même la citizenship and all of that andu ngalen ko political campaign na flowing sembo ni miro ni ku jamala ka dunje. So yo diminata nyadi, how did you respond to that at the time?
I accepted ko Allah will decide. And I was someone who always believe in Allah's destiny. Muka question. Yes, ngana Swedish passport or citizenship, and I'll do it again for Gambia. I didn't even regret it once, because once I decided to come home and stay in Gambia, that's it. And I decided to go into politics. Every decision you make in life has consequences. Until I decided to run for office, for president, and the laws where you have to return a citizenship, and I'll do it again. My regret. Now,
citizenship saying
of course.
Sweden.
No one I cannot be minister. You cannot be minister. You cannot have dual citizenship to be a minister. You cannot. It's against the constitution. It's very clear. I cannot be minister having a dual citizenship. I returned it. The certificates are there, and in fact, before I was appointed, I had to submit those certificates so they can confirm that I've really returned it. So I'm not a Swedish citizen anymore. Your home is gone. Where is gone? I cannot be Swedish citizen because for Gambia, because the law says that. I wasn't joking. Because Mojamal BJB and the rest today, I know all of them. They all have dual citizenship. But when it comes to the time Nasita, they will not return it. And I returned it because if my intention was not to really go for the office, I'll be playing around my intention at that time was to run for office. But the law, you cannot be dual citizenship. I went and returned it. And I'll do it again.
So Sinin Sama, are you going to go back for it then? Because you can go back for it, Ninkul Batala.
No, the law says that you have to go and live there for 2 years and start all over again. That's the law. Let them go and check the law. The law is out there. We live in a world of information and out there. You cannot go and get it back. No, it's not possible. It's not possible. So I'm not Swedish anymore. If for me to get it back, I have to go and live there and start all over again and find it. And anybody who lives in Sweden, the lawyers know that the laws are very clear. Go to the Swedish immigration website. You will see it there. To be a Swedish citizen again, if you revoke it, to get it again, it's there. Go and learn and do the research. So where is done. But we are still young, Tolman Korondo. We are still young. I think it's a pride for a young man like me to run for office in the Gambia. Now, we ran for office. The intention was to get it, Masoto. But bring to the campaign, and I think those who are campaigning with me, they're listening. All bantaba. na closing remark ko quickly nati. And those who are with me, they are there, man, if they are alive. Coming for bantaba wolong ko because tada bantaba jamaleto. Ngo control na hammo wolong ka nyini ka soto because believe tali ko latam fanna lenga hammo soto lenga londo soto nga fero soto ka banko sam banko dingol lati. But alale kadi ni atara fo ma soto mi ya soto nan kumande nabe do ko kala. Andun kadua min ke wolong alma min mona karote alayo ganyendi. Sanin to ngodua ke ngo kumol fo bantabaldo. Then Adam baru nata win. Apa ko ala wolon na kairoti? Anaran kumana kalna do kola. Moro. Mona kala. It's a choice. Though some people want to stay in opposition, they can stay. Everybody has a choice. Nkano nyo kadefi wala. So nte believe taleko. Nte nga londo minsa ani nga fero minsa. Ani siela agenda. Ngajele nyimma sakunda ta kumani ngana. Anum disono nte ma disono fangota. To come and join the alliance. Citizens Alliance la party dingol le be meeting osoto. Yeah, they are listening to me. I will not lie. Ito le nata sita yung kumandi ko nyal na nga singa sila future discourse. All our executive members are across the country from Basefo Katong Foko and Bele nata sita. Iko sign lafta ngata alliance with President Barrow. Nka lafta ole ko ha. Nga vote majority winter executive committee ya vote winter. Ndata alliance la. So see a decision all over it. So what I can say is that well question amending. We did everything. We sacrificed sweat. Ngala nyamol konole susurale nkinne nga campaign kele nga kodo spendle. But hey, look, people have done much more than that. Dole la prison le 10 years if into the man president asoto. So ntonga campaign nga minken nata masoto. Ala la destiny law what? It's not the end of the world. Ming important wolongo Gambia is moving, Gambia is going. Ming Gambia ngol lafta minna. Ye wala ke lata wala ke nga odema ay banko samba. It's that simple. But I didn't make it an issue. In February and disqualify more for another yado be kumbo la dungo ka amane kumbo. Because it's time of election you win by far. Ati watila. Ako you can go and win. Then you no gorilla faifa. Ati watila. So you don't care the momo what I believe in the Ismaila Ceesay. Nka nindu wadanka mimuna karo ama ale okende. So nit ka wodua every time. Ale minki wala la karo do ila dual ka jabile. So ning ala kontola karo wolong nkana lo ning election noto. Abu kontola karo tije ni lota na harje tije. Because dol bije won tala politiko konal. Esa fa entara politiko konal. But ata qualify ta. Ntol man qualify no. Mimbanta NUP entara konole ndola nga party for manyala ade qualify. So that's a reason for everything. Nte muna life is very simple. Nte buka ning ala buka nyo saba. Wala dante muka men feel. Wala tinante nothing disturbs me. Nothing at all. Wala ni mo kay ka how do you handle all this noise on social media? I don't even feel it because it's that's it. That's me how I am. So nte ma I feel being all disqualified. I didn't feel it. I didn't make it an issue. I went to the courts. The courts gave me victory. Time is too short. We have only 1 week. There's no point. This is it. We are still young. We have nothing to learn. We have a long way to go in life. So that's it.
Doctor, since ining President Adama Barrow la sunyo kango yamale, maybe in selo je demanding, lafa ke nyining ka menna ka decide ka kafu President Adama Barrow la masa kundama kabo opposition yala inaye deng ale do koke. You know, kalo wakang what decision making ni, how easy was it for you? Munku kanko ite dabinu mol konole men mu President Adama Barrow la opposition baloti di kala man sakunda criticize ila kolu sambanya ye kuja mala faje me alonko o wato la ya itandi ko nyabo mantara President Adama Barrow la man sakunda la kodo anibe banko samba ka nyame. So kabo woto kayelema kana kafa akan kabanko doku, you know, kabo wotembo kabo load la to kata load la flanjango nyindo. Well, how difficult was it for you?
Well, it was very, very easy. Nita be side ko alka moto borini nyame one time. Iko sa namol mako nga borindi. Ibitala. Mbela banko ada baro da mantane banko mbel tam banko. Ite bibi ni nata hanni atara ni man dia nyawo nya. Iko nyoko namma ko nga banko do ko kalkom. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the country. Amang kolya wala na berin na multa te fam mobilize na te ko ngata alliance. Ngko ngata Bawa President Barrow ngata nga banko doku. Bira ya elect ako ala election is for the whole of Gambia. Andong momo diata bek mana banko do. Naik mana ko nga banko doku ni bang. Omu jaw yalati. Ndama o feel handa man this normal. It's very normal for me. So
but Dr.
ibe bante be mo criticize kan ko alkana banko samba nyameng wonteng. Iko ko sa nae mul ma ko nga banko samba. Yela londo ni la hammo fi yela anila fero fi na. Equate Arafana, what you cannot talk anymore. It is a drone, and that's it. So it wasn't a very difficult decision for me. It was a very easy decision for me.
But those are for Tumando Bato, even more killing on men Chris or more killing on them. You know, it can mem for la quarter, Tumando Bato, Ibo killing on them. Mone Falinda, may yet a wakilindi, ka echo, Tumando Bato, Ninka Futa Numa, and say Kulu, Kume Alonko as a bankona for Kukuta.
Because Monaka ni it be more criticized. Ibunda ya ko sa na ifanga na e banko nyunduku idunta fuaje banko ka doku nyalon ko banko doko mandia I kata foi futa faita fam fo e ke criticize no minna fay ka realize ko fa it wasn't even justified watulon katara meeting wala ngaje ko kamim fonum banda ay me kedin kon ramang kilin fon kamalu kon ka bo tonya longo beti atal ko ni be banda ibu kan be konoto bani be konoto e kala me ko tonya watulon ka criticism dol ka banda lack of information law and will be caring sign because ikatale foi dun kon daje ko manzakunda democracy ni bureaucracy le kata masakunda tamando man easy ikala fika kuketa kenola binna office kono jas minister kulu be mbela flakake mo jama be wala baf anyanda ka nyineke mbel nta kenola ko loi man songake so wala tinna Ntefi, it was good ngana government because it opened my horizon. I understand less sign government benyaming. I did not regret it and I'll do it again. Ko nata man sakuna because I am kuninne. I am kuninne. Tinanga kulje miano kom birimbe mbanta malon no. Nka diamole nun rek based on ngamil long. Sa ndunta konotele. Sa mfana me diam kane based on ngamil long konoto. So there'll be a difference obviously. There'll be a divergence. Because the information nga min soto nung be diamu kang manyin dong soto nung nganye soto nung. Sa nata kono nganye dong soto san. Obviously, na tunko be change nale. Na point of view be change nale because I have information. I see it out right inside because cabinet is high decision making body political that I will to. So I have access to information right. I know what is happening in government. Before I did not know. Menum bantale. I was outside. So on social media, na perception, I do my judgment based on that. But now I am inside. Now I see things firsthand. I know the challenges of running a government. I know the challenges of facing a system is very bureaucratic. Very bureaucratic. It can take you 6 months in government because of the procedures in follow. Because of the bureaucracy. So that's it. But no government is perfect. No government in the world is perfect. Every government has challenges. Bonte believe Taleko. Leadership of Adama Barrow, right now, the way he's taking the country, I'm satisfied with it. I know he has a vision and he's doing things. And we've seen differences in terms of Abekul Sambakanyame. So with that satisfaction, I'm ready to support his government. That's why I'm supporting his government. And
Doctor, the other thing before we move on, the last point on this issue, bring your political dati, ya dati kadia mu bankola kola, yesi yelo, mo jamal beje funding ke olu mene jiko soto nungito. Don fang kafu fanko tumando bare sike no bankola Julius Malemati warafang kake Nelson Mandela ti. You know, a lot of people funding ke jamalu, you know, e jiko soto do anu bring ibota opposition yala e kafuta President Adama Barrow. Jamale jikila teo soto wa Karola. Dolu fa ko fang Dr. Ismaila Ceesay koronto zale tumando bato na ala watu tanu. Ate fonsi instead of I do ko ke President Adama Barrow ase keno modi mense seno President Adama Barrow no. Mune mula jabi roti wala.
But maybe in my life I just want to work for Gambia. Maybe in the intention is not to be president at the end of the day. I want to work for Gambia. Whether as a watchman or as President Barrow's minister, I'm contributing to the nation building. So I understand them. Because obviously, It will expectation le soton to. No man na, when you have expectation on something, so that's normal. But to ask Ismaila Ceesay, I do my own calculations, I do my own judgments, and I make my decisions. And sometimes it will come in the killing. And you cannot go to each and everyone and explain how you are reasoning. But so most of the people who have this expectation, email on phone, they see you and listen to what you are saying, and they build an expectation based on that. But you make your decisions on your own. You calculate things. And I'm not the first. And that's all over the world it happens. Gambia is not unique to Gambia. All over the world it happens. Sometimes you are on the other side of the fence. You throw shit after it happened. Even America with that thing. America Trump vice president. And Trump called Akumu. Aku is what he's worse than a Nazi. Aku is more than the Hitler. I Trump vice president. Ala Secretary of State. Marco Rubio. Aku Trump is a con artist. And then aku mandi wala. When on the side of the sense. So be Atala Secretary of State. So these things are not unusual. Criticizing someone when you are on the opposing side doesn't mean they can work together. It's normal. Before we were on the opposing side, I was in opposition, they were in government, I criticized based on what I knew at that time. Now I'm in government, I have to support government's agenda. That is cool of me along. And I'll tell you something, every decision I've made in my life, I wouldn't regret it. The decision to go to Europe, Migrant. The decision to go to Scotland to do my master's, Migrant. The decision to come back home to Gambia, Migrant. The decision to go and join politics and form CM, Migrant, because I learned a lot as a politician. Every of the decisions, some people might see failures in them, I saw success in all of them, because I learned, I'm still young. I've learned a lot. Because I'm somebody me along one thing about me. I'm a political science lecturer for PhD. I'm political current university for 15 years. 2009 for science about 17 years. 17 years I'm political current. I'm opposition politician or in tada gabanko be ang opposition yake. So I'm the government. That experience alone is worth anything. Nimman ni resolve tano nganyil beke. Today I wouldn't be. So ntaman sila failure la. Because some people see it as failure. I don't see it as failure. Na CA try to get presidency, I'm not succeed. For me, it's not failure, it was experience. Because I learned a lot. I know people. I know how to deal with people. I know how to do things. I know Gambian nimble interactor. My joining government for my regret because I've learned a lot in government. So in Tefe, some people can see it as a misjudged move. In Tefe, it's a success because it has made me learn a lot during this period. So, but like I said, I understand people who feel they felt betrayed I joined President Barrow. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I make this one based on something I feel is right for me and the country. And these are the two things I prioritize them. Country first, then myself. If I feel these two things will benefit from my decision I make, I'll do it. What people think out there, I understand. You cannot change it. But it is what it is.
Doctor, EFM for young member dending ila minister la coming biribe banta yeme mutanu anim biri dunda yeme ntaraje e ko fen le me alon ko e faratale e manke kelindi nkanyi moy mollale jama sako mol men alon ko wol fanan bulado simfa sifa lel noma. So in your case misalo dino molla mune benu je kuni ku kelimbeje, it could be many, but if there is one thing me alon ko ya mutanu nyame janibe dunda man sakunda anim biri dunda je for example,
I'll give you an example. Nibe Banda, you don't understand public finances.
Yeah.
You don't know how it works. And unfortunately, most of us analysts in Gambia, we are lazy. We are lazy. You don't do research. In Europe, analysts go to find out exactly what government policies and government works, so you can be able to analyze. Ndolka sila rek. Minata na mind rek. Ngafo. When I was outside, the camera ko maybe mansa ko be ko do sunya kanne karab. When I came aras ko do sunya no mansa funda. It's not possible. Because the way our public finances are. So ngo karanje bakele ko nkasiban tanga ko be ko do sunya kanne be tenke mansa kunna ko do buka sunya no. Because of the way the public finances are. B. Nte as minister mo ko do famaje. There's a vote holder called the permanent secretary. Nil left fenna kate kela. Because he's the vote holder. I tell like she's in charge of our vote, our money. And even the process of payments, akata from auditors, ayata internal audit, abojata external audit, abojata AG chambers, abojata all the people can even kata. So what has happened is that it has made me understand how government works, how public finances work, how decisions are made. Ekasila for minister nyanda kanyinta mandi tenne. Yara alafta kakele bari luwa monsong ayake. Because there are laws in this country, there are regulations and laws in this country, and sometimes ministers' hands are tied. Voila, it's a bit too slow. It's not that easy. So when I came to government, I realized how decisions are made. You can come up with a good paper in cabinet. Cabinet, I realized it is good, but among pass, you cannot implement it. Sometimes implementation is a problem as well, because as a minister, you can come up with an idea, but to implement, you rely on people to implement it sometimes. And those people Nima implement, they cannot work. So that mountain is a whole chain of actors in the system. A whole chain of actors, a whole chain of institutions, a whole chain of regulations, a whole chain of legislation. Sometimes you can have the best idea can implement, but sometimes you find it difficult. So Nimandung government Ibukanyil belong. The way decisions are made is difficult. You rely on technicians, you rely on people. But Nimbe Banta Ibuko belong. You just go on your intuition. This is possible. Minister Danta Kanyineke, Amanyana Kanyineke, Ananda Katen, Ibeko de Sunyal, Ibemola Kodo Sunyal, Ibasama Dral Tarinke. I've seen ministers Mealongo, Nkasile, Nkasalari Batu, Nkanyo test, salary mandum follow. Yeah, but people don't know that. They don't know that. They thought all ministers are rich because of Sunyaka. No, it's not that. We rely on our salaries. And sometimes it's difficult because as a minister, the expectations are high. You come to my office on a normal day, you find 10 people sitting and waiting. Support. So obviously, but coming up for everything is an experience for me. The CA was an experience, running for office an experience, working with President Barrow is an experience. It made me get to know the man better. What I thought he was and what I saw what he is when I came in were like day and night. But like I said, perceptions. They're out there. They don't know you as Fally. They just see you on the screen, and they build a perception about you based on how they see you, but also based on a Camille Moifana model. But once they get closer to it, they realize, well, this is not the man that we thought out there. So, but that is life. It's normal.
Dr. Ceesay, I want us to look at media regulation kuome alonko wale diamo be kekang gambe banko kan yintembenna. But janim bokila, how is President Adama Barrow namantara kenebaro nin camera fada? Inala doko be nyadi. For alla kacha fanon kono for what is so bang, kacha ke fali futa kodo de meni alonko leso de janni binanu. But how is he like as a person though?
He's a very down to earth, very simple man. Very, very, very simple man. Mealongo has a huge sense of humor. He laughs a lot. And then he likes to make people happy around him. He'll be entertaining people around him. He's very down to earth, very accommodating. For example, model bide Mealongo be by right, neatara multi Mealongo, he was vindictive. Itanala masakunda. Kokumatije mammem faye out there. But he's not that Mealongo. He lets go. He looks at the bigger picture. Mokendolong. I can tell you. Whatever you say about him, but if you get to know him closely, atilintale. Ibukaje kuje me kuje kering along. Down to earth, he's accommodating. Yeah, and that's a nice guy. He's very simple. Very, very simple guy. Nkapa sometimes President Barrow, President Nul Bijawolka Wolf on the Nini Wol Sita Mamma President. But he's humble. He doesn't take the power change. And what he tells me is that power reveals your true character. I will always left on that. Power reveals your true character. So ako power buka mo falling. It just reveals your true character. But if you get to know him, I mean, Fally, I forgot that state house. You should know. You should even ask me this question. Okay, you worked with him closely. So what I'm saying, you've worked with him. the type of person who he is. If you are one person who can really come out and say, Momo si falan, because I remember it mo ka songa telephone ninga ko ka fela boss ko tanin. Ika jela kenya cousin. But then I didn't know you were inside. You know, I mean, I remember I used to call you ka ila boss teng ka fanying. Ita ka jela reke bole ko nyo hamba falan. But that time you knew how he was and you knew the system at that time. Ika follow Dr. Atemala coming for. I know that, but when I came up, okay, this is how Fali was thinking about me. I didn't know what I was saying, but that's how it is. But overall, he's a nice man, he's a gentleman, down to earth, who loves this country, and who's humble and who's also patriotic, but also someone who is empathetic at Balafasoto. And he connects. Every letter Yemin Safa, he receives it. I can read, but every letter you write to him, he reads it. I can tell you a story. I have an officer in this office, is a junior officer in my office. One day he wrote a letter to President Barrow. Kapoko, he needs to be promoted because I made a system of colonel. I was leaving the president's residence. I letter living on president. Gaka dropped at the gate. He dropped it there. The president received the letter and president got call. He was another someone ako. Kung president call. Ako na letter ning barima So he reads everything you send to him and he calls. So that's kind of person he is. But Nima alone, you are outside, you make a judgment about him. And kanyo jani wala niya, laki la loro mo, because kamo jele malong, we start talking all sorts of dumb shit about you. But it comes with public officers as well. Nama kono president ngoti fanang, ngoti fem folay. Because he's the president, that's how it is. All presidents all over the world, people build opinions about you. If 10 people say rubbish about him, another 10 is saying good things about him. But that's life.
Baraka bake Dr. Ceesay, mbadingolu ning Dr. Ismaila Ceesay lebejang, Minister of Information, member mara ning kibaro ning chokinyo kola, abe akadia mamasa kunda fanang toyala. Nga molu soto men siata mo keme kono di men benjibe ka live YouTube ning Facebook kafringo. Ngal be jayi ngal tentu ale wato menta ka kafu majang. Doctor, lafta nga damen to jibe saying, wole mu koti me alon ko akobe foka nyintembe na game banko kan membe dendi nyi kata ko la simpa me alon ko la ministre bunda wadata puluka kibatala ni kiba jenya register gambe banko kan bari fanan amandang itol damala ngaji hani mol men alon ko e ka mamang social media do TikTok al Facebook tiol ananyum festival al preta ka wor register sa la fa ke nyinin ka menna mum problem le beje al lafta men jarala ni nyi luwa kudola wara nyi sarra kudola me alon ko ila faka wala dundi gambe banko kam
yarong nyim manyana kana fong chochoti. It was very easy to resolve from the onset. Monekar as minister, the IC Act nyalong ko aten media landscape mara kafa the IC Act, Information Communications Act 2009. I sembod na la purka regulation of that. When I say regulatory ka ningaje ko na sector na ecosystem problemo sortale. Bring ngaji ko problemo sortale. Manam problemo nyinti walong ko. Before the advent of social media and the internet and digital world, everybody was in the physical space mostly. There were newspapers, we had radio stations, we had TVs operating. That was the main medium of communication in terms of the media. Dunia falinta fosa and data online. It means ko more communication in the physical world sa kake online. Le wala mundi kasandiro ke online le. Nka news la moy online le. Nka karang online le. Nka dugo ko online. Nka kuja malek online. Because 1.2 million Gambians are using the internet. That is about 51% penetration rate. And we have about 600,000 Gambians using social media. Now, because Woketa, Ngajeko sign, there's a growth in the online media, but it's not regulated at all. The traditional media is regulated by Twitter. You cannot operate a radio or a TV or a newspaper without having the license to operate. And those licenses has conditions. But the online media, which is doing the same thing like the traditional media, adverts, news, current affairs, they are not regulated at all. It means you cannot hold them, you cannot protect them. You cannot protect them because they are not regulated. Two, you don't know where they are and who they are, what they are doing. You don't know who is behind it. You cannot hold them accountable. You cannot also protect citizens if they violate citizens' rights, for example. When I looked at this gap, I want to bring in a regulation that can also bring in the online media into regulation. So that we can protect.
Okay, so sorry, 1 second. Yeah, hako bo ni nyadorom for interrupting. But left dorom pro I sene asa men fanamba alamoy kang is a cool nomano. Nico, online media. Are you talking about kiba janjam bundalu men be online coming kirfatu or are you talking about social media users?
No, not social media users. No, kiba janjan na men do media work. They have talk shows, they have news, they do adverts. Not all social media users. Kibar janjan na million kosan, ika social media use to transmit a broadcast and not the normal media. They are doing the same thing. What's the difference between, for example, an online media, minka news care, aka news broadcast, aka editorial responsibility sort of. Then mialonko is licensed. There's no difference. The only difference is the medium be used, the technology be used to broadcast. This is mainly online. And today, most governments get their news online, not social media users. Then so,
no, la femme ko la wala ko do safoko. Since iko ila doko ning kiba janjam bunda ko tengon la doko man fata. Ibeka ku kilingol lel ke journalist lel bebulu comme radio len television ka menke fananka wala ke ka programme lel soto ka mo le interview. So munsula le beje pour que loi samanang ito la ko kambala loi me alonko isa fono menna ko tumando bato ni loi ko tem loi membe lorin lorin bandingo beje amam fute tolma. What is the difference? Why
all loi de tol maranola. Hello? Because it's different technology. Wala na new regulation is technology neutral. It's different technology. So I see so we have to bring a new regulation ka foko sign. Ma foko ale license no soto. That's one. Nkoleko, we register you. So ngalonko, this is your address, this is what you are doing. So you also have some guidelines so you are accountable. Now boita mokang, we can hold you accountable. Be ni that I'm falila fen rip abam fali me alonka man so tamanke tonyati. We cannot do anything about it. In fact, some online media do things that bother national security. I have seen some you can take afoko nyanda masakunda overthrow. There is no control at all. Today, could all be the QTV, Star TV, radio, they cannot do it because they have conditions, licensing conditions to protect national security, protect stability, protect citizens, but also protect themselves. But like I said, regulation from the minister is just a proposal. It's not the last end. Regulation has a life cycle. Bring up regulation or develop. They develop a regulation. Part of the regulation, many things lebije. One has to do with inclusion. All media houses that are registered and licensed should have sign language. That is a good thing. Protection of children from harmful content in the regulation. This same regulation. There are certain periods. If you are licensed or registered, you cannot place certain content that is harmful to children. There is a regulation on redress and complaints and redress. BFM published Mialonko is a lie against you, the citizen. There's a redress mechanism to deal with the situation. There's a regulation on equitable reporting, fair reporting across all political. There are different things there. But again, there are things Mialonko registered journalist. It's also there. Every journalist Mialonko, you are working in a media house, register, have a registry. Mafoke accredit. These are two different things. Accredit means there's a criteria you need to fulfill for you to practice journalism. We don't say that. We say register. So that we have your name, your surname, your details in a registry. We know you are working for a particular media. It's good for your protection. Because if you are a journalist, you are protected from certain things, from certain actions. But how do you know that you are a journalist? How do you know which media house you work for? But that will be important. As minister, it's my job to bring regulation. I can make the regulation and say it's a draft regulation. But this draft regulation cannot make any impact if the stakeholders in the ecosystem did not come in and we get their buy-in. Well, I bring Purea Finante as a draft. I'm on pass follow. I call the stakeholders to see advice on this regulation. What that means is that ala jube, femi along ala feel problematic ala fund. Ninsa bonding nga bondi, ninsa amen nga amen, ninsa tweak nga tweak, so that before we do external validation, we all agree on a document, so that we have consensus before that. But that's where they now did not come for us to do that. And it became a big noise. I was even surprised by it, because there was no need for that noise. Because if when we wrote to them and send them the copy to say, this is the draft from the minister, from Twitter, go through it, let's discuss this. If they had come and we sit on it, and they point, if in particular section on to register journalists, we are not comfortable with it. Why? Because of XYZ. We'll remove it, perhaps. Then if this particular one, registering social media is with significant public reach, it is subject to abuse. How can we close it? How can we tweak it to close that abuse so it cannot be abused? We can do that. The purpose was to have a consultation, consensus, before a external validation. Then the minister of the among for the cabinet they follow from. It's just a draft. Not the minister of justice follow from. So the life cycle is at the very early stages. While the noise was so unnecessary, we could have avoided all this noise. Niatara kambengo, niatara nganyola monun sitan kachala, but it's using kachala manke. But it wasn't necessary. Niatara no, inatala no konyako, nimbon nimfana ngambang, ngalataka force to samba. Then I can understand. Kumalefka cooperate, but Mumfuta was stage because it still has a long way to go. Mumfuta cabinet, Mumfuta the Minister of Justice, and then the Katawale follow the Wolia Jube, illegal drafting. Every section aligns with the Constitution. I'm ruling on cabinet. Cabinet from us I reject no. Because cabinet why I take it, I have to go and defend this paper and cabinet. Cabinet decides whether it's passed or not as a regulation. Then cabinet Jube, near feel this paper is good for the public interest, they'll pass it. Paper cannot come and reject. So this was so unnecessary. So until after me now longo, Hani sign and me kachalale because you are a critical partner to the ministry. They will remain to be a critical partner to history. They will always be one. Before I became minister, they worked with the ministry. Nimboda minister, they work with the ministry. So yes, I understand reforms can be difficult sometimes. Bringing new regulation in uncharted territory can be difficult sometimes. But reform should be gradual. And I understand that. Reform should be gradual. Now, if I want to bring comprehensive reforms and they come to say, hey, this is for now, let's take it easy, let's do XYZ for now, and then I understand that. What I wouldn't also want is no regulation at all, because that is dangerous. But also, I don't want is over-regulation, which is also not, but at least there should be some regulation, we can be able to bring the online media into some form of regulation so that we know they exist, where they exist, they follow some guidelines, they can now serve the public interest, we can protect them, but also, they can be in the ecosystem as recognized entities. That's what we want. How we do it, what we do, that depends on discussions among us as stakeholders. But any issue with that, for me, it's not an issue. I understand the resistance. I understand the pushback. It's normal. I was expecting it all over the world. If you follow politics, when some ministers want to bring some regulations, all that it could be any sector, it could be education. Be the minister bring a regulation, the teachers will push back. It happens all over the world. Minister of Health can bring a regulation in health. Nurses can push back. But once because the purpose of the regulation is not for Dr. Ceesay, it's for the sector. And the sector involves the journalists and the public. Because the journalists, because today, the online media, they serve the public. They do what they call service to the public. And therefore, they owe the public some responsibility. Who holds them accountable where they fall short of what they're supposed to do for the public. Now with AI happening, manipulated content they can take your naked picture, share everywhere. There should be regulation on that. Because there's no regulation. Anybody can share whatever content, and there'll be no consequences on that. It's manipulated content. But today, online registered media license cannot share it because it's against their licensing conditions. So no regulation is dangerous, Mom. That one I can tell you. But we don't want over-regulation. All we want is we find some regulation, at least it can protect the public interest, it can promote democracy, promote press freedom, but also protect the journalists and the media. One thing I can assure the public, this regulation is not a political document among anything to do with politics. So people go say political document to muzzle the press. What do we gain from that? Media is regulated in this country. There are almost 40 radio stations, almost 9 TV stations, almost 6 newspapers. Who is disturbing them? Nobody. And they are regulated. Nobody is disturbing them. So what interest do we have to bring a regulation to muzzle press freedom. For what?
When we want Doctor, I think, yeah, no, la fafalale, na miroro me chocho siandi. Yalo mandinkol ko ninkankura ye bafa ni tu wulenje dorong ikasilale. In the sense that if you look at journalism la history, Jambe la time, Jambe to lel fa, to lel tajirinta, to lel yemandi, to lel mutaka kuka eko sifa bele la kibata la ninkiba janjanalu kam. You know, ngaji fanko even lua la karola, they brought the internet laws, ikafo iko dinana Gray Johnson laws, where, you know, nieman sakunda dokula alfango criticize online. You know, they is a sort of no sanji jama. So ngamira jama la confusion momenti. Eka iye problem jama alfo jan komen kamolu toku ya ka kumal fo men mansura ngalual so tele men yalan ko already yewolu coverle already defamation laws libel and ku ko tangol. So mo jama be silari men na wala muko nyin se keno jorantile ase keno simfatile men se atna no mansakunda you know doko kolandi journalist solbu. For example, Nico registration. For example, I went through the policy, I looked at the accreditation policy, but also I looked at the draft act. You know, accreditation requires
again, there's no policy, there's no act.
Huh?
Let me correct.
No, I'm talking about the national accreditation policy.
No, that one, okay. Huh? Let me rectify that.
Yes.
No policy draft. That policy is drafted by the Mala Jumala draft. Because what I told them all I want a press card system. That's a different document. In fact, I insisted, Papsar was there, some Papsian was there. I don't want it to be a policy. I don't want it to be mandatory. Make it a voluntary accreditation framework so that it's discretion of the journalist to apply for it and get a press card to get incentives. So forget that policy is not to be discussed because that cannot go without us working with them. And I made it very clear I wanted to, because policy is binding. Policy bondage. I like a guideline to a framework and don't make it mandatory. So that one is a different one. I don't want any,
because I was going to say it's under the ministry's letterhead. So what I tell you,
but it's on that draft. Yeah, I didn't appear letterhead. Bria presenting all of us were there. NEPA was there, Newspaper Public Association was there, Broadcasting Association was there, Media Council, GPU, and in the PS were there. Bria project. Samsar is alive. He wouldn't allow me to lie. And then Papsian, they were there. All policy bonding because it makes it binding. It goes to cabinet and it makes it binding. 2, ala bondi mandatory, ala ke voluntary. The one we agreed on that, ngadi juf of GPU, juf tiny changes okay, and bring it back to us. Because I was working on 3 documents. I was working on subvention for the media. It's only a draft. Draft. I gave it to them to draft it because it's them. That is subvention mode for the media. They are here to bring it back. Because we are looking at the model, to share the support. 2 was this accreditation. Policy bondi, a voluntary accreditation framework or guidelines. So it's not mandatory. So that is at the journalists to get the press card. But if you get it, you get advantages like training, going to China, training outside, access to government press conferences. That was it. That was the problem on the regulation, the online broadcasting regulation. That one equal registration for journalists. If that is the problem, let's sit and discuss. We can remove that if you don't want it. We have no intention. The intention was very clear. It's not to stop anybody from practicing. It wouldn't stop anybody from. If you think that is problematic, so there is nothing in that regulation that will take us back to Jame era. There is nothing in that regulation. Let somebody come and show me anything in the regulation. We are going to muzzle press freedom or to stop press from doing their work. The regulations are very clear. It's to promote press freedom as ensured by the Constitution.
Okay, Doctor, on this matter killing of one issue, memfana mola interest fenka wole mu comment ka social media user fana register. You know, mol men yalongo the language ye men use ye wole mu ko mol men be social media bari ye mo jamalu soto menu be inoma kam men be follow kam. You know, correct me if I am wrong. I don't think mtela miroto amma mira banku beje me osoto dunia kono ka social media users ta ke register.
So that one is called social media with significant public reach. Not only there are 2 criteria there. There are 2 criteria. One, you are social media, you have a huge following. but you monetize your content. You create content. Mealanko is news content. They are not online media. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
But they have their own platform. They do news and current affairs. They do adverts and they create content. This applies to those people. But this is something, like I said, if we think it is problematic and it's difficult to implement, we can remove it. Until we are open. It was just a draft.
Okay.
At least I can bring a draft. And the draft is open to scrutiny and amendments. If you believe this particular one, for example, it cannot be implemented. It's very difficult. It's open to abuse. You can justify it. We'll remove it. When we went to the validation, a lot of people made a concern. The registration of journalists. Bring pura parita la validation. If it's a concern, the intention is not to stop anybody. If the people who are making the regulation for, if they're not happy with something, why leave it there? Remove it. There are lots of things in that regulation that are good. Let's look at the bad things it's gonna cause. This thing may raise things. It's a very valid point. I did not make the regulation. Pura is the regulator who makes the regulation. I don't have to agree with Pura with everything that they write. I'm here for the national interest. So
thank you very much, Doctor. Because
if Pura gives me the draft, and I call my stakeholders, and it's justified, why not? It's my document. I'm going to defend the cabinet, not Pura. It's me who's going to defend the cabinet.
Yeah.
And I can even take that to cabinet. Cabinet for him question. But
hearing that from you is very encouraging because remember, the social media bit, malum how much time lam yajibe, but it's very scary because there would be a content committee that would challenge social media users on ye fengolu menfo ani ye men janje la platform oro ye fengolu menfo ye men janjanje can be a basis for revocation of that registration clearance ye men sort of from government. They're asking you to declare all of those things. So that sounds like control to me, but it's also refreshing to know that it is still a draft.
It is still a draft.
Yes.
If the stakeholders come, GPU, NEPA, come and say, hey, this is problematic, and we're able to justify it, we'll either amend it to... We are open to discussions. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
As Minister, I make regulation. It's a draft regulation. It's not like it's going to cabinet. I'm on the cabinet follow. I'm on pass follow. We can even now at this stage, as then if I'm not it's me, it's my
No, what is Doctor?
If I bring a proposal and there's a community race, and we are able to justify for me because this is problematic and it can inhibit press freedom, and I'm convinced, we'll remove it because our intention is not to muzzle press freedom. Our intention is to bring sanity and standards in the ecosystem. That's what we want. How we do that, we can disagree, but Ninsit and Kachata will find a common ground. We'll get a regulation. There's consensus, and it can bring some modicum of standards. We don't expect to get 100% standards at the beginning. It's a gradual process. Countries go because this online media is new for all of us, and all countries are struggling to regulate it. Most countries are trying to regulate it. So if we start somewhere, we can be able to go gradual next couple of years to get somewhere. But we have to start somewhere. But now, if I start with a regulation, let's discuss because it is a draft. And then we can remove some things, we can tweak some things, we can amend, we can make it better until we have consensus on a document. Then tanga samba cabinet nga defend it.
So any GPU lo nyinka chabe tembe da jumal to ale nyomo da dile.
We are now decided to meet. Bar Association has opened the window of discussion. We might meet next week. There's a window. I'll put it on ice. Because I don't want to take something there's no consensus in my sector. I want everybody to be on board. I'm ready to work with them to make it a better document. I'm ready to do that.
Yeah. Doctor, thank you very much indeed. Last question, ngalan siyo meta bake, yehako bwenninye. Ngamenje wole muko ngajele ko dia kiba janjam bunda kutol lel binakang. At least fula ngamenu kibaro soro. Bari memu problemo di membe jamal de kan wole muko ibe bokan sinyo bankol to memu Senegal ti I think there is a newspaper, the Observer 24. From my understanding, it is a Senegalese own outlet. Naraja fanan ko television la sino fanan sikala ya di Senegalese company do fanan membina kela Gam TV di. Okay, model beje membe silaring wala muko okay investment lamu ninga mosoto mol siata nyama abe betela wala nyama. But mem fanan beje, how do you balance the involvement of foreign influence into our media space? So ko sinyo banko me alonka tele warati da tele sembo sudedi. How do we make sure that Gambia la ko kana fili Senegal la ko kono, because Senegal mu banko le me alonko tumando ba to le sembo warandi ibe nkanku jamala do. I don't know what your response is to that.
The Gambia, we are calling for people to come and invest in Gambia to bring FDI and provide employment. Invest Gambia. Then we have criteria set for as a framework for that investment. Nkosan, to apply for a TV license, this is the criteria set. When Pura does their evaluation, they don't look at the nationality of who is applying. A Gambian company applied, a Gambian registered company with Gambian shareholders. Forget about who owns it. A Gambian company, a Gambian company applied with Gambian shareholders in the company. They fulfill all the technical criteria, legal criteria, admin criteria, program criteria, all the criteria be fulfilled. Would Pura rather and say, we are going to reject you because it's a Senegalese who owns it. Then we are not encouraging investment. The company is coming to provide employment for Gambians because in the licensing, there's criteria on Gambian employees, Gambian programs. It after 24 Minfo. Yes, Senegalese owns it, but they only focus on Gambian news. They don't report anything Malongo is about other country. It's only Gambian news and Gambian employees. Young Gambians are employed. So we cannot start to discriminate against because Senegalese is a Nigerian or Liberian. No, Gambia has laws. When you come and apply as an investor, you meet the criteria. Obviously, we have to do what we have to do. But once we start to cherry pick, what about Gambians in other countries? They're investing there. Gambians are in Congo. They're in Sierra Leone. They're in other countries. If they were discriminated for the Gambia Canadila, Mohamed Jah Q group, they're in Sierra Leone. Imagine if they say telecoms is secret, Canada Gambia no. That'll be a problem. So what is important for us is that we follow the law. There are criteria for licensing. Once the person meets the criteria, we have to give the license. We cannot just say, Kapoko, you meet all the criteria, thank you, but we cannot give you because it's Senegalese. It's a Gambian registered company with Gambian shareholders. They meet all the technical criteria, legal, everything. They meet it. They're going to employ Gambians. They are going to pay tax in the Gambia. What would Pura do? They were discouraging investment then.
Doctor, so ila bria minister that where there are Gambian people, Gambian company many like broadcast TV.
Yeah, we give not TV.
Okay.
No Gambian company applied for TV. But Gambian companies applied for radios and we give them licenses once they meet the criteria. When I came, there was a moratorium. In fact, there was no license Bukadino. That a cabinet moratorium lift conditionally. We can now give license if you fulfill two conditions. That is nationwide coverage or rural areas. Milia apply and they meet Gambians. So we don't look at the nationality. We look at the papers. You mean submit. Because I don't do the evaluation. Pura does evaluation. You apply to Pura, they do all the evaluation, and if they're satisfied, they can take the minister, apply. We've done our evaluation based on the law. We are recommending for you to approve the license. They do everything right. I approve. If I have more questions, I send it back to Pura. But my job is not to sit here and discriminate is Gambian. No, my job is to make sure when we invite people to come and invest in the Gambia, let's not cherry pick. You can invest in this sector, but in this sector, no. If you want people to come, let them invest. They provide jobs for Gambia. They're not employing Senegalese. They're employing Gambians. They're not doing Senegalese content. They're doing Gambian content because it's part of their licensing obligations. They cannot come and say, you have to do Gambian content. It's in fact, if you submit your program, and that will be evaluated and assessed. So we don't have an issue with that. Let people not really worry about that.
Okay. Dr. Ko Al Sal Jusula Soto Karola, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay Lamuna Lunta Jam. nge jayi nge tentu ye wato menta ka kafuma mol ben jibe kan be lamoy kan YouTube nim Facebook mi fanambela mi rol sata kan kacabita kan nyamen nga molu jayi nge tentu Dr. Ismaila Ceesay namane bulang kata dron msafo mol fane ni me nyinin karo soto kilim fula Dr. me kilin selendi no la jannim bital se nyinin karo selendi bari di warati lafte nyinin kala mem fanana you know to nyala minister la muti bari politique nyaton ko le fana muti banko kan nga jele IEC e kankularo ke I think it was one of the top stories nga menu fo bi kibaro de jam iko politique kafolu menu manke political party e be sasila pour ese fonyo politique kafu manyala banko kan I don't know ila jabiro munati wodo
no, but they're always straightforward manyanyo kan also so wala we have registered political parties, and by the Elections Act there are things that they can do. They have to do congresses every 2 years. They participate, they only recognize as registered political parties. Now, if you allow a system, any time they can hire, can be cool, political parties, then it defeats the purpose of registered political parties. You're not protecting the political parties. You are doing congresses, you are going to election registration centers, it's not supposed to happen anywhere in the world. Gambia don't accept, but other parts of the country, other parts of the world, don't accept. You have to be a recognized political party. Well, now you have to go and pay the money to be against a political party. Now, if there's a system along what political parties are doing, non-parties are doing, then there's no point to register political. It's a disincentive. It's a disincentive. So nobody will register. There's no point to register then. Because if you register and pay your money and food, there are incentives that you have. There are privileges that you have. If those privileges are given to non-registered political parties, then what is the point of registering them? You're not protecting them. But what we are seeing is group
no lafta fula dolu ba fola ko aliya wuli Talib Ahmed Bensouda kamba in fact ngala supporta dolu jele iko Masakunda, because that's a big talking point for them. Iko Masakunda man hanyila ko Ahmad Bafo nga afanyaming in Sukuta. So iko it'll fail. All of this is an attempt pour Talib Ahmed Bensouda na la political movement ola kariafa. Is that you're reading into it?
Let me tell you something. Talib UMC is not the threat of the government. That I can tell you. It's not the biggest. It's not the opposition. It's not our opposition. It's not. It is not. Absolutely not. That I can guarantee you. It's the least of our worries. No. There are big opposition groups in this country. So it all that is they are a crybaby. No, for what? In fact, IEC is not government. IEC is independent. If they come up with a praise, IEC, it's not government. It's not from government. And so what we know is that President Barrow is on course to win the elections. All opinion polls are indicating that he's on course to win the elections. And we are focusing on that, delivering to the Gambian people, delivering water, delivering electricity, delivering education, access to education, schools and classrooms, delivering healthcare, building roads, empowering women, empowering youth. That is the president's focus across all multiple sector development. So now any other thing else is not important for us. And so why would we really, no, to be honest, it's not that. But what is important, IEC is right, because you cannot be a non-registered political party. You want to do things that political parties do. It's not. It doesn't work. That's anarchy in the system. But that's even dangerous. It's not even good.
Doctor, we have a lot of people watching. This is from Suterimbai. Suterimbai is watching on YouTube. Thanks both of you, Mr. Fadera and Dr. Ceesay. Youths are the backbone of the country's future. Politics, no enemies to each other. Barakabake Suterimbai. We have another person, I think Wala Concern Momenti. It's about the question around the shareholding of the TV license Menudida. At the fair, certain areas in a country's economy are strategic. Ibuka yela mobe, basically. I don't know whether you want to comment on that. And then Kela Kumakon Finance Bentending or those who remember Benjibe and Mr. Chamako Esafal has a company in Senegal. I think he's trying to reinforce Ibem Fokang ko Gambiano Lufanankara Nyameng Banku Kotangolto Ika Invest. So Ngamo Jamal Jampa Fatiko, thank you, Dr. Ceesay. It was really a great interview. A lot of people watching and reacting. Ngalbeja Ngaltin to Alewato Menta Kakafuma.
Okay, let me give an example because I have to go. Let me give a final example.
Yeah.
Senegalese media, TFM, Sen TV, fu mu ko jube Gambia ba?
Molke jibele.
Is there any inhibition? We're watching it still. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
At least if he opens it here, he's bound by certain licensing conditions he has to follow. But if you open today, most Gambian homes watch Senegalese media. They watch TFM, they watch Sen TV, they watch all the Senegalese TV without any control. We are living in a world whereby now that kind of sovereign thinking is gone, because we are living in a borderless world now. Capital investments, production move across borders now. We are online. If you deny him a permit, he can go and open it online. Will you block him from people watching it from online? It's better you allow him to establish and you control it, what he shows and who he employs, and he pays taxes. We win from that than stopping them, because if you stop them, they're going to open it online. Governments are still going to watch it, and you cannot control the program. You cannot control editorial content there. So we need to be very strategic how we do things in this world. Today, you open an online media, governments will watch it because it's very easy now. So that kind of sovereignty doesn't work anymore.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. Mbari ngolo wala mun lunta ngoti bi Bitilo to jam. Ngeje ngetonti wato menta kana kakafuma, because yela hajole tuje ngala ne ko bi mo arjumoldi molka ji talanta ni fulalla bari to the officer of fotala woro content and say what wato menta kakafuma ba fule ko baraka bake. Dr. Ceesay nin kuma laban bebulu ibela flaka mem fo eni mole sara tumando ba de safo mole nga sarota ngata
me molbe konton na drong follow membo hakadanela banko do ko mandia hadama dia mandia wati don se kuken se kufa mi alon ko mol sa feel ko they feel offended, but no offense. Memo banko de ngolati memo hadama de ngolati. It's not like it's deliberate. Momo mi alon ko nana nga kufo nana nga kuke mi alon ko ya feel ko nge offend lembe hakadanela momam perfect, but min kumaro lon ko nganyo bunya nganyo horoma senyo criticize bar ngake bunya ni horomo ko no the control be killing minister ya dun kabanne molle be non dim palaso de janne bina bin television sama sidia sikoya hanni mona be clearing be bola jande ngata kudoke modoina. So that's what I believe in. But if anang memin kelam do kala foko ntembe min ton katara wala de buka jigida de min ton, and I believe I do it. So ntembe wala nya. So what you see is what you get. And I'm very straight. I speak my mind, and sometimes people feel ko mankulu walang arrogant. I'm not like that. I'm a very down to earth, very straightforward guy. But sometimes I'm human and more funding fananti. So sometimes I can go a bit hard. Sometimes it causes controversy. I just laugh at it and I move on. But no offense, no hard feelings. If I'm better to lambe jela, membe konton milbe juberola mbate to lamba jela for what koteng abarka bake.
Abaraka bake mbari ngolu wole mu Dr. Ismaila Ceesay ngeje ngetonti watu menda ka kafuma alamati lo to diala alman beten kala katani karatola. Wassalam ala baraka.
You're listening to Bitilo with Mfali Fadera.